Hello and welcome back to Tim Roadie Drive Stuff. I'm Tim. Sorry it's been a while since I did any car reviews. I've been jumper shopping and filming video reviews on my motorbike channel and doing dodgy wheelies and stuff. But anyway, the car I have been driving lately is the updated for 2021/2022 Kodiaq, and this is a Skoda's 7-seat SUV, and it's been updated with some fresher looks. It's a bit more high-tech, and this fast vRS version has switched from diesel power to petrol power. So I want to find out if this is the perfect family SUV for you and your family of 6 people, 2 of whom are really small but not in child seats. Niche or what? If you don't know anything about the Skoda Kodiaq, you just need to know it's Skoda's biggest SUV, and it's available in either 5 or 7-seat forms. Underneath it's very similar to the Seat Tarraco and the VW Tiguan Allspace, and it starts at £33,000 for an entry-level one, which is called an SE Drive here in the UK. The sweet spot's probably the mid-spec SEL Exec, which is £37,000, and this range-topping VRS is, are you sitting down, £47,000, and this one in front of us has a few options, which makes it a 50 grand Skoda. Oh dear. But anyway, let's talk about the looks. I've always liked the way this car looks, and the facelift has just given it slimmer headlights here. It's just a bit sharpened up, slightly different grille design. VRS versions get this body coloured bit here. It's like a slash. It's all aggressive, and it's got Skoda's what they call crystalline design language. And I don't think they mean crystal meth. I think they mean Moravian Bohemian crystal from Czechia, or whatever we're calling that country this week. But yes, all models get LED headlights. However, entry-level ones only get LED low beam. Everything above that gets matrix LED jobbies. They're the ones that can kind of blank out oncoming cars, so you can leave your headlights on main beam more of the time without getting sworn at. Well, not so often anyway. It's 4.7 meters long, which is the same length as the new Octavia, so this is shorter than a Skoda Superb by about 10 centimeters. Yeah, it's not actually quite as big as you'd think, but as we'll see when we get to the inside, it's like a TARDIS. It's bloomin' roomy. It weighs about 1.75 tons in this spec. It's on 18-inch wheels as an entry-level car. This VRS one is on 20s. There's a Sportline version which is on 20s. Everything else, I think, is on 19s. Now, I've had some compliments on these wheels on Instagram saying how cool these bits look, but listen, that aero stuff, you could poke it. It is plastic, which is fine, because who goes around touching your wheels? No one, unless they're proper perverts. However, I do wonder in 10 years if those would have got bleached by the sun and gone grey or greyer. It's just something to think about, but there are some clever features. I've chosen the wrong side to show you this, hang on. There are some clever features, he says, just not in my own brain. Round here, you get the classic Skoda umbrella in a door, which is actually very handy. Don't lose them. And in your fuel filler flap, you get the classic ice scraper. Ooh, it's not yellow. It used to be yellow. But yeah, it's an ice scraper, and it's also, well, it used to be a magnifying glass. Yeah, it still is, but never made much sense as a yellow magnifying glass. Maybe that's why they've done that. And this one is a petrol one. Not a diesel, as I said. The old VRS had a 2-litre bi-turbo diesel engine, which was great, but a bit weird. Now, privacy glass, which is tinted windows from there backwards, is standard on all Kodiaqs, as are black roof rails. Around the back, it's had a bit of a bum lift. It's got slightly sharper tail lights, so just I totally missed that, didn't I? It's a little bit neater there. And the VRS one, as you can see here, is a 4x4 as standard. 0 to 60 on this, I think, is 6.6 seconds. It's got 245 horsepower, 2-litre engine, basically ripped from the Golf GTI. But this is an SUV, so don't expect massive speed or fuel economy. The back end, I think, just looks quite nice. The boot is electric on everything other than the entry-level version, as far as I can tell. And it's flipping enormous, but it is about to beep. Don't know why this one does that. I've never heard that on any other Volkswagen Group car, unless someone set the height to be slightly different. But yeah, it's hilarious. It is 270 litres if you keep those back seats flipped up, the 7 seats, the third row ones there. I've got a buggy in here, so they're flipped down, which leaves you an absolutely whopping, what is it, 765 litres of space. That does require you to slide the second row of seats forward to get that figure. But look, this is a Bugaboo Chameleon 3. It's a big buggy for little babies, and it fits lengthwise easily, in pieces, but that's standard. Now under here, hang on, under here there's a little flap which has cargo nets, so you can actually make use of big boots, because big boots, stuff just rattles around if you're doing your shopping, doesn't it? But you can put those nets in there to stop that. And there's a little first aid kit under there, all neatly tucked away. You don't have any levers here to fold the seats down remotely, as blanked off panels where they would be. 12-volt socket goes there. The parcel shelf would slot in there, and that does actually fit under the boot floor. Look, there's a parcel shelf there, and a spare wheel, which is quite a rarity. But yeah, that's the boot. It's really big, really practical, and part of the reason I think the Kodiaq is one of the best SUVs on the market. I lived with one of these for 6 months. In 2019, I think it was, I had the diesel vRS, lived with it for 6 months, and it was great for hauling everyone around. Now the back seats, I've taken a child seat out there so you can see the space. There's loads and loads of legroom in the back. I like all this kind of Alcantara suede cloth stuff because this is a VRS one. I think all Kodiaqs apart from the entry level get leather or similar. Entry level ones get a cloth interior, which you might just prefer. Panoramic sunroof, I think that's about 1100 quid as an option. That's standard, I think, on the Lauren and Clement version. I'm gonna hop in, show you the headroom and legroom once my camera spins around. Come on. Now, I know what you're thinking, Tim, you didn't show us getting into the back seats of this, the third row, and that's because I don't really fit very well. They're only reserved really for, I guess, small teenagers, and I would say small kids, but you can't put a child seat back there because there's no ISOFIX back there. So yeah, they're occasional adult seats, and I wouldn't really want to go in one for very much time at all. But in the back, when I say the back, the middle, it is really quite spacious. So as I said, the seats slide forward so I can reduce my legroom to nothing or have loads of it. And I've got loads of room for my shoes under there. I've got loads of headroom. I don't feel claustrophobic. I feel regal, if anything. Down here, there is a 12-volt socket, which you're not going to be able to see, and a little cubby hole here. That's about it. There's no USBs back here, I don't think. And I've got a little armrest with cup holders there. Child seats are pretty good in here, though, as you can see, despite being a big car, my 3-year-old can kick the back of that seat. And that seat, before we get in the front, is not electrically adjustable, but this one is, the driver's one. But anyway, let's go up front and I'll show you the cool stuff that's new in this. Newish. Up front, the Kodiaq looks really quite posh. And yes, I know this is a top spec VRS one, so it's got kind of carbon fibre effecty stuff there, and it gets a sportier 3-spoke steering wheel, but I really like it in here. You get digital dashboard in VRS and L&K ones. L&K is Lauren and Clement, the founders of Skoda. That's a really kind of luxurious spec one. That also gets ventilated seats. But yeah, this dashboard is quite nice. You can stick your maps on there so you can find your local Czech takeaways, things like that. We've got a big infotainment screen in this one, which has now got, drumroll, wireless Apple CarPlay and wired Android Auto. Yeah, you have to plug in for Android Auto. But yeah, I really like it. I wish it had physical volume knobs because I love a physical knob. The smaller version of the screen still has those smartphone mirroring systems, and it does get physical knobs as well. You've got physical climate controls, hallelujah, heated windscreen on this one, and there's a wireless charging mat down there. A couple of USB-Cs, which is new for the facelift. I think they used to be USB-As. Who's keeping up with this stuff? Me, sorry. And you can pay 55 quid, have a little USB-C, hello, there's my reflection, up there so that you can plug in a dash cam without having wires trailing down your windscreen, leading to a hilarious but filmed crash. Electric parking brake, driving mode buttons, cup holders with these little rubber nipples in so you can open a bottle one-handed. That's what they're designed for. And you've got a cubby down there. You have got 2 glove boxes on a Kodiaq, if I can reach them. This little button here does the top one. This little button here does the bottom one. Look at that. But anyway, I should probably talk about the seats briefly. VRS gets these micro suede ones, and basically, as I've said, there's leather and cloth ones throughout the rest of the range, but they don't get red stitching. like the vRS does. And there's an upgraded sound system, which this doesn't have, called Canton. It's usually quite good and usually worth having. But anyway, that's more than enough waffle about the inside of the facelifted Skoda Kodiaq. Let's go and listen to some fake noise and go and drive it. It's quite an entertaining fake noise, unlike most of the stuff that comes out of my mouth. Right, if you want to go for a drive in a Skoda Kodiaq, you put your foot on the brake and press the little start button on the steering wheel column. And because this is a vRS one, it doesn't really sound like much. It's just a petrol growl until you put it in D, and you won't be able to hear that, but you're suddenly treated to a bassy burble, which actually comes from the exhaust via a speaker. So the diesel VRS had this, now the petrol one has it as well. So you get some fake engine noise through the speakers, which is pretty normal. You also get some Rammstein, sorry. But you also get a burbly kind of 5-cylinder / V8 exhaust note played to people outside. I drove this car in sport mode through my local Waitrose underground car park, which is the most Surrey thing I've ever said. It's actually quite obnoxiously loud in sport mode. That speaker and the exhaust gets louder in sport mode. It's a little bit silly. You can turn it off, however, you have to set up an individual driving mode. So you go to your individual driving mode and you can turn the fake engine noise off. But every time you get into the car, it resets into the default mode, so you have to go back into individual. And when I lived with the diesel one, that was probably one of my bigger grumbles with the car, is that it didn't just stay in individual mode. But anyway, to drive, very, very easy to drive. You've got big mirrors, you can see out the back nice and easily, and you've got so many windows, you can see over your shoulders nice and easy too. And although it is a big SUV, it doesn't feel intimidating. And you've got reversing camera on this one as well. It's just actually really easy to drive around town. The automatic gearbox at DSG just shifts when you want it to. It's smooth, it does its job. And I drove, where did I drive in one of these? I went on holiday to Amsterdam, I think, and it was just a lovely long distance cruiser with the family on board. Now, obviously, having shifted away from the old vRS diesel, which got about 38 mpg on a run. It wasn't massively efficient because it was a 2-litre diesel with 240 horsepower. This is less efficient. I've been getting 27.6 mpg, and that is mostly on short town runs. I haven't done a big motorway journey in this. The official mpg of this engine, thank you post lady, is 32.5 mpg. So yeah, it's not gonna do mega miles to a tank. It'll do about 400-ish. So yeah, but in terms of more sensible engine choices in the Kodiaq, you can get a 1.5 litre petrol with 150 horsepower. That's a decent engine, I'd probably just go for that. There's a 2 litre petrol with 190 horsepower, but again, still doesn't feel fast. This doesn't feel that fast, as we'll discover, but it's not very economical. It's almost as uneconomical as this. I would just go for either the 1.5 petrol or the 2 litre diesel, which will have either, 150 horsepower or 200 horsepower. I'll probably go for the 200 horsepower version of that because I'm a bit of a tart, and that's the same diesel engine as you get in the Octavia VRS. But yeah, put my foot down, and it's brisk, it's not quick. It's, yeah, if you're in any other brand like an Audi, you'd think this is just a normal version. It doesn't feel particularly sporty the way it accelerates. But anyway, I'm going to get some dual carriageway, talk about the refinement of this car, and then get to a twisty road, stick it in sport mode, and talk to you about adaptive dampers. Highlight of your day, I bet. Right, let's do some dual carriagewaying in the Skoda Kodiaq. I've set the dampers in this car, because you get adaptive dampers in the VRS, to comfort mode, just to really maximise the opportunity for this car to be a pillow upon which to waft. Yeah, when you accelerate, even in normal mode, you're getting some fake. It's alright, it's entertaining. As I said, individual mode let you turn that off. But anyway, I'm doing 70 miles an hour now. Get a little bit of wind noise from that mirror, but it's quite windy outside. Bit of background tyre roar, but really nothing to write home about. It is quiet in here, and I know from experience that this is a great car for banging out some big miles on road trips. Having things like wireless Apple CarPlay just helps with that. You do your navigation through that. Although the default sat-nav built-in is pretty good by all standards, but it is all touchscreeny. You haven't got a rotary control like in a BMW, so you have to take your eyes off the road to prod things. But yeah, it's nice. It's just a nice car to spend time in, which sounds like a massive cliche. It's got things like blind spot warning on the mirrors. It's got lane keep assist, which actually isn't very intrusive, and it's just a few button presses to turn it off, but really not a problem. So yeah, good long distance cruiser this. Obviously, as it's a petrol, you'll be filling up more often than a diesel, but it's not a rattly thing like a diesel. The rattling you can hear is my empty child seat in the back. They need children in them to weigh them down to stop rattling, but if I did that for a video, all you would hear is, "Daddy, can I have a snack?" No. "Can I watch Bluey?" Yes, because it's an exceptional kids TV program that I would watch without my children. Check it out, Bluey. But anyway, we're on the way to some twisty roads where we'll talk about the Hondaling. Welcome to the home of sensible consumer car advice. Let's do a launch control start in a Skoda Kodiaq. Admittedly, this is the fast one. So yeah, 0 to 62 in 6.6 seconds in this to vRS. That's 40, that's 50, that's 60. Yeah, it's quick. It's pretty quick. When you're already moving, you put your foot down, it doesn't feel that quick. But I've got this in individual mode, and I've set everything up pretty sporty, to be fair. I've got the dampers in sport mode, but even in comfort mode, this thing grips and goes around corners without much body roll. And you can drive this well faster than 60, as we used to say in Essex, down a twisty country road without falling out of your seat, without feeling like the front tyres are going to understeer. You can drive it really quickly. It's not necessarily the last word in automotive entertainment to drive, but it's a big family SUV. I would say the vRS strikes a really good balance in the chassis department between comfort and being able to go really fast around corners. A regular Kodiaq is pretty much just as good. It doesn't have some magic vRS sparkle this. So if you buy a regular Kodiaq, you'll get the same decent but just normal steering and a chassis that grips very well. Now, the vRS does get variable ratio steering. That just means the steering can be sped up when you're going fast. So if you go into a corner quite fast, the steering will be nice and direct. You don't have to turn the steering wheel much. I'm just finger tipping it round there, technical term. But really, the vRS, for the money, is not that exciting in the engine department or the handling department. I sometimes quite like the fake noise. It adds a little bit of drama, makes you think you're getting something a little bit fun for your money, but I would probably just get a 2-litre diesel version, as I said, and just enjoy the MPG that comes with it and treat it as a family car, because it drives nicely for a family car and it handles well enough. It's got loads of room. But anyway, I'm starting to do my outro before the outro, so let's go back to outro Tim for what he does best, which is an outro. Have some more fake noise. Ooh, I'm in an Audi RS3, apart from the bit where it didn't accelerate very fast. So, in conclusion, would I buy the new facelifted Skoda Kodiaq vRS? No, it's the least sensible Skoda they've pretty much ever made. It's outrageously expensive. It's about as economical as an Audi V8 and it costs 50 grand, so no. However, a regular Kodiaq with a diesel engine or a normal petrol engine is a cracking family car. Loads of boot space, loads of interior space, and now it's got wireless Apple CarPlay, so I'm basically in love with it, and I still think it looks smart. They're super easy to live with. It doesn't drive like a big heavy car, and it's easy to park and live with. There's just very little wrong with a regular Kodiaq. Just wait 3 years if you're going to buy a VRS and buy one used, because it will be about half the price probably, depending on what used car prices are going to do. But anyway, hopefully this has been helpful. I've wanted to get a Kodiaq on the channel for ages, because having lived with one, I just know how great they are, and I wanted to share that enthusiasm. This is my enthusiasm face. Anyway, if it has been helpful, please hit like. It really helps me making these videos. Also subscribe to the channel because it just makes me like you a bit more, frankly. And go down to the comments and call me the Czech word for a bear. Thank you, goodbye.